Hey everyone, my name is Jack. I'm a 23-year-old real estate investor and soon-to-be attorney, and on this channel I cover a variety of topics as they relate to real estate, investing, the markets, and pretty much everything as it has to do with personal finance. So if you like that sort of content, be sure to have a look around the channel, and if you like what you see, be sure to subscribe. Today I want to talk about my career in property management, which I actually did for a couple of years before I started investing in real estate for myself. It taught me a number of good lessons for the real estate investing game, and it could be a decent career path for some people if your personality fits the bill. And even if it doesn't, there really is a lot you can learn from a career in property management, even if it's only a couple of years, so that's what I'm going to talk about today. Now, when I was in college in my final year, I was looking for a part-time job on campus that I could do while I was still attending class. By then, I was definitely very interested in real estate, so I wanted to get something where I could get some real estate experience before I ended up graduating and moving back to my hometown in Chicagoland. I went to the University of Illinois, so I was in Champaign, which is in the middle of the state, about 3 hours south of Chicago. One of the few part-time jobs that I was able to land was in property management at a large real estate firm that was headquartered in Champaign. The company had a number of large multi-hundred unit communities in the area, and my job would be to lease out empty units as well as manage day-to-day issues with tenants and field phone calls and try to get these units leased. I was working alongside a team, of course. I was not managing hundreds of units myself. I was joining a team that was actually managing these units since they had all on-site management at these communities and a full-time maintenance staff as well. Not every property management job is like this. Many are off-site or otherwise decentralized, where maybe you'll have a central office or maybe you won't. From there, you might go to 1 or 2 properties per day in your many-unit portfolio of otherwise decentralized units. That was not the case here. I was working in large communities with a central office in each of the communities. So in that way, I guess it was kind of easy to manage in that I didn't really have to go anywhere. I was just at the office every day, and I was dealing with issues as they came up. This actually made showing units very easy since everything was in one place. It's not like I had to go drive to other units, or if there were problems on a different property, I wouldn't have to go and drive there. I was already there, so it was very easy in that sense. And I only worked that job for a semester, but I did return to property management after I graduated. My first job out of college was full-time property management at a condo community in Chicago. I worked this for a full year while I was actually doing my first year of law school as well, and it also helped me get into my first house hack, which I've covered on this channel before, since having a salary right out of school can make it actually very easy to get approved for loans as long as your credit's in good shape and you're not overburdened by something like student debt. But anyways, unlike the job I had in college, which was solely on residential multifamily real estate, this was for a condo community downtown. The fundamentals of management were very similar, but some of the mechanics were different in that you're dealing with a condo association board. The rules aren't controlled by management, they're actually controlled by the condo board. So it was kind of a weird sort of relationship between management and the condo association itself. But again, many of the fundamentals were the same, which I'll get to in a second. Like the previous job, this was part of a team as we were at a community of a few hundred units. So it was a lot for just one person to manage. We had full on-site maintenance as well. So we had a big team there, and it was really like running a little business within the community. Like the last property management job I had, I was working at the front desk in the management office, so I was dealing with a lot of day-to-day resident issues and anything that might have come up that day. I would be the first one to hear it, usually. I did that management job in the condo community for a full year before I finally ditched that and went for the law route since I had a good opportunity that came up and I didn't want to pass it. And I was in law school after all, so it kind of made sense to make that pivot at some point if I was going to make something out of my law degree. But that's a story for a different day. Back to property management. What did I learn, and is it a good career to go into? Property management is very different than other areas of real estate. For example, being a real estate agent is very sales-oriented. You're always trying to pitch a deal. You're trying to market yourself. You're really out there in the community trying to build relationships. You have to really understand your market really well. Not that some of these skills don't transfer to property management, but that is really the focus when you're an agent. In a similar sort of way, as an analyst, if you're at a larger real estate firm that has to analyze deals all the time, you're looking at the numbers. You really got to know the math behind the property. You got to know the market as well. You are really looking at deals all day, and you're not really doing a lot of outward tenant-facing things, so you're really to yourself in that sense, and you're you might be working with a team of people analyzing these deals. You're not really dealing with the customer, so to speak, or tenants and landlords. But property management is best characterized as customer service, much like a lot of other careers outside of real estate. If anything, it's more like a retail job where you're dealing with customers in your face all day. You don't really get a break from it, and you really can't get a break from it because you're the first person that they talk to. And they, in this case, are tenants, and tenants have problems with their homes. And if you're not the one who's going to solve the problem with their home, they are going to demand to see someone who can. That is your job as a property manager. It's to make sure that there are no problems at the property, but the property has homes in it. So if you're not being careful with it, it's going to really boil over into some very emotional problems. And often it's not really anything that you did as a property manager. The person might just come in and will be really upset because they have a problem with their unit that happened for something that perhaps they did or even damaged something, and now they need it solved, and now we have to do something about it as managers. That's kind of the life of a property manager. You're constantly putting out fires. Whereas with a sales-oriented job like being a real estate agent, you're really constantly looking for deals and you're constantly looking for new clients. As a property manager, you are managing your current clients constantly. If you have a big portfolio or a lot of units under your belt, it can be a very exhausting job because it never really ends. And because it's based on what tenants or residents need, there's not a lot of control over the schedule, or definitely not a lot of control over workflow. Depending on how things are delegated, it's not as though it's a 24-hour job all of the time, but there are times where certain weeks are just going to be crazy because maybe there's a big building issue, maybe you have a leak that affects multiple units at the same time. That is a lot to juggle with when you're already doing all of your other day-to-day tasks. And the hardest part about it all is maintaining a very even temperament and maintaining a smiling face through it, since it's customer service after all, and the customer is sort of always right. Don't get me wrong, tenants and residents will be unreasonable all of the time. You have to remain calm through it anyways, because it is their home after all. You can try to sympathize with them that way, and then you got to look for a solution right away. You can't let emotion get the better of you. You can't let them throwing insults around get the better of you, because they are living here. They're not going to go away. Now, if the person's really being abusive or physically violent, obviously that's a different story, but usually it's just someone who's upset. They're pretty emotional about something that's happened, and you just have to take it in stride and look for a solution right away. Because of the nature of the work, property management is not for everyone. As a career, that is. You cannot have a short temper because it's going to really lead to problems very quickly, because you're going to be dealing with things that are frankly pretty stupid a lot of the times, or someone thinks that there's a problem when it really isn't a problem, and you just have to sort of pretend like it is, or try to offer them something to calm them down about it. If you're not patient, then you are going to get destroyed in this industry, and that really goes for most of real estate. Real estate is a pretty slow game, and there are a lot of moving parts with it, and you have to make sure very carefully that everything's in line as you go through deals, and this is outside of property management too. Real estate takes a lot of patience to make sure that everything is going smoothly. And problems come up all the time, and you have to take those very calmly and then move quickly to actually solve them. Now, as for building a career in property management, there are some pretty great opportunities to really make quite a bit of money in property management if that is something you want to do, especially when it comes to building your own portfolio of property management opportunities. This is where you actually get your property management license. You go out and manage properties by soliciting landlords, saying that you'll manage the properties for them, and you try to get as many as you can under your belt, and ideally you'll eventually be able to delegate tasks as well as your portfolio of managed properties gets bigger. Now, you're not owning any of these properties, but you are managing it for them, and you can make a pretty handsome living out of that. But unlike a lot of other businesses, you are limited in your time often, and it's very hard to delegate everything. People are going to be bothering you at some point in property management. It's a very person-to-person type of business. It's not something you can just automate everything away. You're going to have a lot of hard work to do, and you're going to have to do it. But if you like solving problems, if you like putting out fires quickly, then it's definitely a great career path for someone like you. But if you don't like that and it doesn't sound appealing to you, and you don't want to build that sort of character that I was able to build in the couple years of property management that I did, then it's probably not a great career path. That's probably the biggest thing I got out of it, was frankly just building temperament and building character and taking the punches even when it's not really anything that you did. Being able to do that has been super valuable, since I can realize that I've been through irritating situations like this in the past, and I know it's not going to be terrible. I'll get through it. It's fine. So that really helped in that sense. There's other ways you can build that character too, but it is something that property management definitely teaches you pretty quickly. More importantly, it got me comfortable with the idea of managing properties myself, or at least knowing what to look for in a property manager when I went out and hired someone to manage my first rental property that I got out of state just this year. If you want to see that deal, I did a full breakdown going over all the numbers and everything with that property. I'll go ahead and link that above, but that was the first rental I got, and I wouldn't have really done an out-of-state deal if I didn't know what to look for in a property manager. But you can really say that about any real estate career. If you're interested in real estate investing, just get involved in the industry in some way. Maybe property management is the best way and easiest way to do that. Maybe it's not for you. It depends on what your skill set is. Property management is a relatively low barrier to entry as long as you have a decent temperament, so it could be a great way to start and break into the industry while you try and build other skills. People are always going to need homes after all, and landlords are always going to need good managers, so it is a relatively stable business in that way, but it can be pretty competitive since there's a lot of ways that people can get into property management, since all you really need is time and energy. You don't need a lot of technical skills, though a lot of states do require management licenses of some sort, so you have to be careful there. Definitely check first before you go and start soliciting yourself as a manager. But even those management tests are pretty low barriers to entry, kind of like getting your real estate license for becoming an agent. So just look into that before you go ahead and do that. But the fact of the matter is, it's pretty easy to get started in property management if you're looking for a quick way to get into the real estate industry. If you guys have questions about my experience in property management, definitely let me know in the comments below. I'd be happy to talk about it. There's a lot of weird stories that went on. You'd be pretty surprised how people will act and how they'll just die on a hill if they think they're right about something that really does not matter in the grand scheme of things. But people do it because their home's involved. They get very emotional about it. Lots of weird stuff happens in property management. You never really know what the day-to-day issues are going to be since every day is a little bit different. There's a new thing coming up every single day and a new thing that's going away every single day. So it's a great career for someone who's looking for a lot of variability. And I know that's not for everyone, so if you have questions, definitely leave them below. But anyways, that's all I've got for today. If you like this video, please like it since it helps the channel out a lot. And if you like this sort of content about property management, real estate, investing, markets, pretty much everything as it has to do with personal finance, definitely subscribe since I put out new videos every single week about those topics. And check out my book, The One Property Retirement, about a simple strategy for building your retirement nest egg using real estate. It has some decent property management tips in there for how to manage units and what to kind of expect when you're dealing with tenants. So it's great for that if you're new to the real estate industry. It's great for beginners overall, and it takes you from the very beginning of a deal, from running the numbers and vetting the deal, all the way through closing and beyond with managing and renting out the property. If you guys read the book, definitely leave a review on Amazon since that would help me out a lot. But until next time, take care.